Everybody, once again, it's Mr. Miserable back at it again. How's everybody doing today? Today we're going to talk about. Well, I'm going to talk about Caitlin Clarkson, and her impact on college sports. And it's crazy because no matter how you feel about her, like anybody who doesn't even follow the women's game, if you follow sports, you've probably heard of this young lady from Iowa. She, broke the NCAA scoring record for women, and it's really a big deal right now, and not even just for women's college basketball, but I think college basketball just overall in general right now. And you look at it, she's playing in sold out arenas and all this type stuff. And I think it's really beneficial right now for the women's game from the standpoint, let's be honest, sports is face driven, especially when it comes to the major sports. You look at basketball, you look at football, even baseball to an extent, even though baseball probably is like the least watched of the three major sports, it's still a major sport in America. And let's be honest, like my first love, like I really didn't get into sports. It was college basketball, when Christian Laettner, hit that shot over Kentucky. Like that was like the first memorable sports event that stuck out in my head. Like, and I've always had love for Duke basketball. I've always had love for college basketball. The NCAA tournament is about to start having their open rounds to see who's going to qualify and things of that nature. So what Caitlin Clark is doing right now is really amazing. Not even that, but women's college basketball in general. And I say that from the standpoint, I'm the type of person because I'm older. When I was growing up, it was depending what season, it was depending what sport you watch. So when football was going on, I didn't watch basketball. Like I literally didn't start watching basketball until football was over. Then when basketball was over, I would get into baseball. And that's how it would go for my sports. I watched tennis whenever the tennis would come around, but tennis was also seasonal. So depending on when the summer season was in whatever country, that's typically when your major tennis sports will go on. That being said, like I said, sports is driven by the individual or the faces. Let's be honest. Top players in the NFL who are always getting paid is the quarterbacks. Whether the team is good or bad, you will almost always know who the quarterback is. And I think that plays an even more important thing in basketball. And I'm saying that from the standpoint, this young lady in Iowa is doing a great thing for the women's game. But not just her. I think women college basketball is really starting to gain traction from the standpoint that if you really look at the last 10 years in the men's field, even though for whatever reason, I'm not going into the politics of anything of that nature right now, but we know the men's game brings in a lot more money. But I think the men's game, especially in terms of college basketball, has lost traction just from the standpoint stars don't want to really stay in college basketball anymore, which is understandable. There's so much money to be made in the NBA, and then you look at the fact that I only have to do a 1 year deal, like literally 1 year in college basketball, and then I can go pro. It's like, what's the point of staying? Even with these whole NIL deals now, no young college basketball player is really going to want to stick around in the college game because for the on the male side, he can just jump right into the NBA and start making millions of dollars. WNBA players can't really, they can't even come close to making that argument. So, in fact, the young lady Reese, who won the championship with LSU last year, and I'm sorry for being disrespectful by not knowing her first name, and I say that just because she's from Maryland. But when they won the college basketball championship last year with LSU, like she said, wouldn't be a need for her to run into the WNBA because she's making more money on her NIL deal. Whereas in the men's sport, these guys they know, look, I just got to put up for 1 year, probably barely got to take any classes, and then I'm just going to hit to the NBA. And it's like the NIL doesn't really impress the men on the college basketball side because it's like, what's the point? I'm gonna get paid either way. And I think the men's college basketball is really losing a lot of traction and respect because of that. Because it's like me personally, I follow a team, but I also follow the players. And it's like, yeah, like I love Leitner, I loved Hill, I loved Hurley, I loved all that guy, I love that whole team of Duke. And I've been a Duke fan ever since. But it's like now it's like it's kind of hard to follow him because it's like it's hard to build up love for a team if you know after 1 year these dudes gonna be gone. It's like, yeah, 1 year he gone. Look at Zion Williamson. Look at a lot of these guys. You know, it's like 1 year they done. It's like I almost wish they just go back to letting the kids just leave high school and just go straight to the NBA, or do something like how baseball has, where you can just go into a farm system. Just let them go into a farm system at 18. It's like, to me, you're ruining college's money. The guys is coming in, they're already not really developed in what they want to be anyway. So you just might as well just start up a farm system for them and just get them ready straight for the NBA game. But that being said, like I said, I feel like women's college basketball is really gaining momentum because of men's college basketball. Fuck up. Because people love college basketball. Like I love college basketball. I love the NCAA tournament, that one and done mentality. Because even the best team, if you're not good that night, you going home. You know, it's like that's what I love about the NCAA tournament, and I actually love the NCAA tournament more than I like the NBA playoff, because the NBA playoff is always set up for the best team to win. And I guess that's the way it should be in a lot of people's minds. But I feel like, and this is why I always feel like the NFL playoffs is much better. I feel like the NCAA tournament is much better than the NBA playoff system, just because you got that one bad game, you got that one player that might be hurt. You gotta just do different strategies, and it's like the NBA is not set up for that. The NBA is set up for, oh well, it's basically set up for the number one seed to basically win no matter what. And I mean, I don't know, it just takes some of the fun out of it sometimes when it's like it almost feel like you already know who's going to win. And that's how it feel a lot of times. It's just you pretty much feel like, yeah, we know if you get the number one seed 9 times out of 10 you're gonna win. You already got the home field advantage. You playing a best out of seven, best out of, I mean, it's just set up for the number one team to win all the time. I like the upsets, and that's why I like the NCAA tournaments and the NFL playoffs. But like I said, back to Miss Clark, she's about to break the record. Some people argue, whether if she breaks the score, when she breaks the scoring record. I think she's already broken the scoring record. So I'm sorry, but some people have argued, does this make her the best female college player of all time? And some people have argued like she needs to win the championship. The She needs to win the tournament to be considered the best of all time. That's a weird. It's not even a weird argument. It's a legitimate argument because you look at certain counterparts on the male side. I mentioned earlier Leitner. Leitner is considered, one of the greatest NCAA players of all time. Kareem, Walton, all these people have championships. So it's like the championship for some people, it adds to the legitimacy of your greatness as a player. It's hard to argue. I mean, it really is hard to argue because then you also have some greats who don't have a championship. Pistol Pete Maravich does not have a championship. I'm trying to think. I'm not even gonna lie because we always reward the champions. We always bring up the champions. So, but it's hard. It's hard to say because she's gonna have the greatest scoring record of all times, and it would be nice if she came away with the tournament championship. But South Carolina's out there. There's a lot of good teams out there in the women's brackets, and it's like you know basketball and football is like the ultimate team sport. Like one player, no matter how great they are, if you don't have a good supporting team around you, and I'm not saying she doesn't have a good supporting team because they're ranked high. I think last when I'm doing this today, I think they're ranked like number 4 in the country, or I know they're in the top 5. But it's like sometimes that is just sometimes there can be teams that's better, and I'm not even gonna lie. Like sometimes they're just teams that's better, and like I said with the NCAA tournament, NCAA bracket, you meet a team that doesn't match the way you play, and it could be one and done. I mean, it would be great. That would be like the perfect Disney story. You know, she break the scoring record this year, plus she get the NCAA tournament win, and she come out as the champion. That would be like the perfect way to finish her career. We'll just have to wait and see. But like I said, it's great for women's sports. It's great for women's sports, and like I said, really think that the women's college game is really doing great things right now, and I really feel a part of that is because the men's game is faltering. Because when it comes to the college game, we like seeing these kids go to these schools and start off as they not rookies. They start off as the freshmen. They mature. Then their senior year, their junior year, they're blossoming, they're flourishing. Great example. I'm a big Tim Duncan fan. You know, Tim Duncan basically stayed all 4 years at Wake in the time where guys was typically leaving like their junior sophomore year. Like I said, now dudes leaving after their freshman year. So it's really like fans of college basketball really aren't invested in a lot of these college players now because typically they know that the great ones are going to be one and done, especially on the male side. And I think the female side is really gathering in on that just because it's like the female players, they're basically going to be playing all 4 years. You get to know these people, you get to know these players, you get to see them. You know, it's like this player is going to be here next year. You know this player is going to be like maturing, and you're gonna see them in the limelight from going from that scrawny freshman kid to a senior powerhouse. You don't get that in the male side anymore. I mean, that's why if you really look at a lot of the teams that are really competing for national championships on the men's side, it is the school where the kids kind of stay together for almost all 3 or 4 years. And a lot of times they don't even really have big names. They like the kids like you look at a school like, and I don't mean to disrespect. I'm gonna say Villanova. I'm gonna say the Michigan States and teams like that. Like a lot of times they don't really have. I guess you consider like the 5 star or the big name talent that you would think would be a NBA prospect. But at the same time, a lot of times these kids they mature together and they get better as the year or years go on. And they typically around 3 or 4 years, they typically Gonzaga is a perfect example of that. You know, Gonzaga always typically stays together for the most part. Every now and then, like they recently had things that Chet Holmgren left early, but for the most part, most of their kids just stay together. And but you're not really seeing that a lot in the men's side. Whereas the women in the women's game, people like that story of seeing these freshmen come in and build up. Plus, it makes for good TV too. It makes for good TV. It makes for a great story. Like, yeah, they started off as freshmen and now they're competing. You know, like I said, the Duke squad that I fell in love with all those years ago. You know, Leighton stayed all 4 years. Hill stayed what 4 years, even though Hill when Hill got there, I think Leighton was probably like a junior. Yeah, because Leighton didn't win his 2 championships until Hill got there. I think Hill was a freshman. So yeah, that's about right. But that's what I'm saying. But we got to see these teams mature. You really don't see that now. So it's kind of like in the men's side, I just think people still want to watch it, and you know it's gonna bring in a lot of money when tournament time comes because we got all the big commercials and all that crap and all that type stuff. But the men's game in college basketball really is faltering right now, and I think that's why you're seeing a lot of the ranked teams lose now because it's like a lot of these teams are ranked, but they don't have any time to get any chemistry because by the time the kids get good together, the main player already ready to go. You know, and I mean, I can't fault him because let's be honest. If somebody came to me and was like, dude, 1 year in college, kind of like Ben Simmons kind of said it best. Ben Simmons was like, look, I ain't take no classes. I really ain't do nothing. I just came here for my 1 year, and now he making millions of dollars. I can't fault a kid for it because be honest, if I was 6'5", had a jumper, could dunk on anybody, I probably would do it too. So I ain't even gonna lie. I can't fault him for it because at the end of the day, it really is a business. And I can't fault these kids because let's be honest, the colleges are gonna make money off of the images off these kids anyway. So they might as well just go ahead and just try to make as much money as they can while they can. And like I said, because they can always do the Shaq thing and do your year, do a couple of years in school, get paid, and you can go back and get your degree. Let's be honest, if you really want your degree, you can go back and get it. So I'm not knocking these kids. Either way, if you stay, like if you pick the Tim Duncan route and you stay all 4 years, that's great. If you take another player's route, I just mentioned Zion Williamson just because that was just a name to pop to my head, and you just stay 1 year and make your money. Either way, that's up to you. I mean, that's up to you. That decision is great for you. Either way you do it is what best works out for you. Um, like I said, I just feel like it hurts the college game just from the standpoint because the fans love seeing these people. Even though a lot of schools don't put the name of the college kids on their back, we know the names of these kids. We know the names of these kids, and we'd be lying if we didn't. So I think that's one of the reasons why the women's game has blown up the way it has, and the young lady Clark is going to help make it even better. The only unfortunate thing I will say is, is like I feel like it's a shame because I feel like she's probably going to make more money in her NIL deals than she'll make when she goes into the WNBA. I've heard like comedians like Bill Burr make those jokes about, well, don't nobody watch the WNBA. I would like for them to make the numbers public just to see how much money they do get from endorsements and fans because it does seem weird that WNBA players really make less money than like certain professions. And I'm not knocking them because I understand a lot of these ladies have love for the games. But when you hear some of the salaries about like the average players or even what the star players make, it's like, dude, like, cause like it's like whenever they show the games on ESPN, it just seems like it be fans at the game. So it's like, where is the discrepancy at where you're saying you can't pay these young ladies money? Because they getting endorsements, they got to deal with ABC and ESPN, so they bringing their money. So it's like, why is it y'all can't pay these young ladies more money? And like I said, it's a shame that Reese, the young lady from LSU, it's a shame that Clark from Iowa will probably make more money through their NIL deals in college than they'll probably make in the WNBA. And that really sucks. That does suck. But like I said, give hats off to the young lady. She's probably her name will go down forever in college basketball. Whether you're thinking about men's or women's, her name will come up. So hats off to her. Glad she breaking the records and everything. Records are meant to be broken. That's just the truth of the matter is records are meant to be broken. So for all the old heads out here who want to say, oh well, you know, other people did it in less games, other people did this. I mean, records are meant to be broken, and I get it. People want to put asterisks next to stuff when these younger generations do it. Just stop being so bitter and old about it, and just live in the moment and just be happy for this young person for going out here and doing something great with themselves. And not even that, they're helping promote the sport. They're making the sport better. There are a lot of younger women out here that's watching the game right now that are really looking up to Miss Clark, and they're going to want to go in and do the same thing. And there's going to be a young lady out here that's watching Miss Clark that's going to want to break Miss Clark's record. So you know what? The torch is going to be passed on to the next generation, and that's the way it's supposed to be. So for all the old heads out here, just stop hating and just let the young lady do what she's doing because she's not doing anything bad. And on that note, Black History Month is about to come to an end. And I'm gonna just say this: as a black male, I'm gonna just say, you know what? Yes, Black History Month is officially February, but let's make Black History Month all year round. And I'm saying it in the sense of if you have sons and daughters, then always keep in mind of teaching them about the effects blacks have had on society, technology, math, science. It's not just a month; it's a year-round thing. And I'm not even saying it just for Black history, but Latino history, Asian history. You know, it's we live in a country that's basically dominated by Europeans, and I understand that the people of European descent, and I understand that, but this country is very multicultural, and I think we need to start expanding on other cultures. And the fact that Black History Month is February, but let's also start recognizing other cultures and the impacts they've had on America. And look, I'm not even down in my European brothers or sisters or people of European descent. I'm just saying, let's just have it balanced all over. And like I said, Black History Month's coming to an end. Actually, we got an extra day this month because it's a leap year. But like I said, just I don't know. It's like as you get older, sometimes you start to take in aspects of things and you start to think about things and you start to look out for. You start to thinking about your people and how you can make things better and how you can leave a everlasting mark on the world that you came in, maybe a blueprint for the next person or something of that nature. Um, so the message I would just have for maybe my fellow blacks for the end of Black History Month is let's just stop some of the hate against each other and stuff like that. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of using the N word. Never have and never will be. I don't like calling people the N word, whether in terms of the ER or the A. To me, they both sound stupid to me. I'm not a big fan of either. But at the end of the day, it's a choice that a person or individual has to make for themselves. Um, like I said, all because I don't say it, I don't look down on other people who do say it because, like I said, you have to make that decision for yourself. I am not the moral police. I live my life my way. Another next person lives their life their way. I just say, like I try to say at the end of every episode, be nice, be kind. Just start looking out better for each other. And to me, the N word in particular is just a way of putting each other down. It's weird because Dave Chappelle tells that joke where he goes, Comedy Central, he called him into the office about him using the F word. Like I said, because I don't use that word neither. I try not to use words that kind of disparage a group of people. And he was like, and Dave Chappelle said he was talking to the woman. He was like, well, why can't I use the F word? And she was like, well, because you're not, you're not, she's like, you're not that person. And he's like, yeah, but I'm not an N neither. And like I said, and I'm not saying the words just because like I said, I don't like using them. I don't like coming out of character using those words. I think those words are very hurtful. But it's a Dave Chappelle joke that he was telling when he was talking to the people of Comedy Central, so you can look it up and find it. But yeah, it's like like when people go around calling each other the N word, it can be insulting because I don't think of no other group that called each other out of their name in a disparaging comment like that. Like people in the Jewish community, they don't go around calling each other like, yeah, that's that. What it's like we're really the only groups to do that, and I find it weird. And I remember, and it's funny because I am not a Brian Whitlock fan at all. Like I feel like he says some stuff that is very disparaging towards black people. But this was years ago, around the time when the NFL started fining players if they heard you saying the N word, and they was talking about it on ESPN, and they had Carmen on there, and Carmen was like, yeah, he's like, they took the N word and kind of made it like a term of brotherhood. And I think this is like really the only time I've ever agreed with something Brian Whitlock has said, because Brian Whitlock had commented on how it's weird how young blacks have taken this word and called it a sense of brotherhood. But he was like, could you imagine that the people who created this word, and not really the people who created the word, but the people who the word on us for hundreds of years as a slur, are probably laughing at the fact that we took the word that they gave us and called it to us as a slur, and now we openly use it on each other at all times. And a lot of blacks use it in the negative way on their in their music just to make money off of it. And I was like, I just think sometimes we just gotta do better to people. And I know this is a weird episode just because I went from talking about the young lady breaking the school on record, but it's just because it's February and it just was something on my mind because, like I said, Black History Month is coming to an end. But like I said, once again, be nice, be kind, always try to do great things, look out for each other, and until next time, this is Mr. Miserable signing off.